Will I be that madman? Possibilities are yes.
How do you manage your mental health?
I don't know if I'm managing my mental health.
The textile sector in India today, at least, is not organized enough for everything to reach the right way to get disposed of or to get back into production.
So we are not a recycled brand. We are an upcycled brand.
There's a lot of lack of information. You don't know how to dispose anything.
If we don't start doing it, and if other people like us don't start doing such things, there'll be no more of the world tomorrow.
The smaller the niche, the bigger the margin.
The future generations will need to be told that there is no taboo attached to it. I mean, my mobile phone is considered to be dirtier than my toilet seat, but I still stick it to my face, right?
Can we avoid all of this from hitting the landfill? So we're looking at a world on an edge where landfills need their own landfills, and we are right now inching closer to a point of no return. And to that, we say no more. So NoMore is primarily a brand of upcycled bags and accessories. So the whole idea was we come from a manufacturing kind of a background. We worked together for a while, and
For a long while.
It's been almost 10 years since we've been working together. And what we realized was, see, most of the manufacturing companies in the country or in the world today, whether it's apparels, whether it's bags or anything, clothes, you always tend to order a bit more than what you want. Take for example, let's say a brand like Zara. Okay, they might give an order to a particular factory for, let's say, this particular black T-shirt. Both of you are wearing black T-shirts today. They might say, listen, I want a particular purple. We want you, factory A, to make 1,000 purple round neck T-shirts for us. But they'll have a very specific Pantone shade or a very specific color code for that particular shade of purple. Now, what happens is the factory will give an order for that particular purple. Once it comes, there is a possibility, one, that the purple is not exactly the same. Okay, and big brands like the one that I mentioned, they're very particular about sticking to a
Color
particular
codes.
color shade and stuff. They'll say no, reorder. So let's assume it was 1,000 T-shirt order, and you need, on an average, assuming half a meter for a one round neck T-shirt, or 1 meter, let's say. That's 1,000 meters of the wrong purple that's come to the factory. Now, what happens to that? We don't know. I'll come to that. That's one. Second is, let's assume this purple has come, but it's got some kind of a line on it, or a distortion on one side of the fabric, or one part of the fabric has got some kind of a distortion, or there's a color variation or something. Again, the brand would say, no, I need the right one. I need perfect. 1,000 meters is the gain line. Now, what happens with, now these are two scenarios. Third scenario could be a factory always orders a bit more than what you would want. Okay, because you never know, it could be a wrong pattern, it could be maybe the tailor goes wrong in whatever they've done. So let's say you need 1,000 meters, you end up ordering maybe 1,050 meters or 1,100 meters, like 10%, 5%, 10% more. And if you get it right, you have another 50 to 100 meters extra. Now, what happens in such situations is, most of the time it just lies in some uncanny corner of the warehouse of that particular factory, and it could go unnoticed for months and years. Now, this is purple round neck T-shirt order 1.
It's like bad inventory.
Now, imagine the number of T-shirts that the factory would make, the quantities, and that's T-shirt. You're talking about shirts, collared T-shirts, trousers, denims, whatever. Now, multiply this into this huge inventory, and this is just one brand, one factory. Multiply that into multiple brands, multiple factories. So we were like, and what happens to this dead stock, so to say, or rejected stock, or leftover stock, or including the cut pieces that comes out of a production run? See, there will always be, like, you draw a pattern on a fabric to get your T-shirt pattern out. Now, there could always be one part of it left over, there could be cut piece out. All of this, what happens is, sometimes it goes unnoticed, and then eventually there are chances of it ending up in the landfill. Okay, unless and until there are some factories which would maybe send it back to some recycling unit and all that, but it's not very process oriented, or not very how do I put this, it's not it may not be happening all the time.
It's not organized. The sector, the textile sector in India today, at least, is not organized enough for everything to reach the right way to get disposed of or to get back into production. What we try doing is, I mean, what we tell ourselves is we make rejects work. Everything that's rejected is not really rejected for a particular reason, which is the material being bad. It's just not perfect in a particular way for a brand that prides itself in a particular Pantone shade. As we say, मेरा वाला pink ही चाहिए और वो नहीं है, but that doesn't make any other pink bad. So the idea is that there's so much, and to tell people that plenty already exists. There's a stat, Praveen, that there is enough uh, textile in the world to clothe the entire planet. I think
They mean that the amount of waste going into the landfill on a daily
Yes.
basis is enough to cover X amount of Eiffel Towers every day.
Yeah, so it's just such a huge problem, and there are such good fabrics that we see and explore every day that can be just created into a bag, and nobody wants to do it is because mass production करते हैं, पैसा कमाना है, let's just get into that. So slow fashion always gets challenging in that respect.
So in fact, we had a earlier recording. Again, fortunately enough, then she was your namesake, and she was doing recyclable packaging or environmentally friendly packaging. And we had this conversation about disposal of waste, and things are not organized. We realized that there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of lack of information. You don't know how to dispose anything, not even just textile. Everyday litter things, like we're disposing things in a bin. Like there's so many times in an airport, there's those three heads to a bin,
Colored bins, yeah.
but you open the thing out and it's going to the same bag. So people are not aware. That awareness is definitely, I think, not just in textile, but in most disposal. I don't think we are aware as India, at least. So that is one problem that we definitely have to solve. Second thing, when you come to brands, again, then you have the whole thing that, okay, this goes against my image. And then you have the people who are selling the knockoffs, or like the first reject, second, all those kind of things. So there is definitely a massive, massive market for it. So how did you all get into that? What was that whole thing like? Why? What got you to start?
So I'll just complete the earlier part that I was talking about. So idea was, can we avoid all of this from hitting the landfill? Okay, because the landfill is already getting filled up, and most of these fabrics are not something that's going to biodegrade or compost. It's going to take years. Okay, now I'm talking about synthetic fabric like polyester and nylon and all that will never. Cotton to a great extent will, but over a long period of time. So our idea was, can we do something to recommoditify it and kind of give it a new avatar so that it can be created into good looking products, which has got a story to it. And we've actually played some part in reducing the burden on the landfill, a very small part. And we'll have to have millions of people like us to be able to create a larger impact. We're just one small speck right now. And so the whole idea was, if we don't start doing it, there'll be no more of the planet tomorrow. And that's how the term NoMore came across. We came upon this brand name called NoMore. Is like, if we don't start doing it, and if other people like us don't start doing such things, there'll be no more of the world tomorrow. So answering your question, no, we're very clear about being on the right side of the line. Very clear. So see, it's not an easy proposition. What we're doing is a very difficult job. People think that you're getting clothes at a very subsidized rate, or you're getting raw materials at a very subsidized rate compared to what somebody would have spent in ordering it afresh, vis-a-vis us getting discards. You get it by the weight. But this entire cumbersome process of the team working on figuring out how do we make this piece good looking.
कचरे को कैसे सोना में बदले?
There's labor, there's time. Unlike other manufacturing companies, wherein, like, let's take this blue shirt for example. Somebody has made it. Or let's take this white shirt. The order was, the designer, so to say, would have thought about, mujhe white shirt, he or she has designed a white shirt, drawn, and they'll give the order saying, you need white fabric, these many meters to make these many white shirts. So the manufacturer goes and buys and gives an order for X amount of white fabric. Because the design is already there. For us,
Yeah.
it's other way. For us, our design process starts after we get the material. We're like, okay, now this time we've got reds, blues, and greens, and a little bit of black. How do we make good looking products out of this limited inventory that we've got?
Let's get into the challenges a little. But first, let's start with what exactly are the products that you guys making, and why is somebody buying your products? What's the differentiation factor for you guys other than sustainability?
One thing we were very particular about was we wanted to create very fashion forward pieces. Today, if you talk about upcycled, the first image that comes to mind is either patchwork or khadi. With all due respect, but there are people who are doing that job a lot better than we are. So again, because where does the differentiation lie? As we are both from the industry, we were very confident on the quality that we can deliver in terms of bags. So from day one, we knew that while we want to address the upcycle market, we don't want it to fit a certain kind of set where it looks a certain way for somebody to want to carry it. Our narrative is very important to us, but we want you to carry it because you really like it as a you know self expression of sorts. It's cool, it's nice, at the same time it's very functional. We don't want to make only jholas where there's just a certain use case for that. So we're making bags for we are making duffels, we are making handbags, shoulder bags. We're creating all sort of bags that you can carry day to day, everything carry. We've also now moved into bucket hats, smaller accessories, everything that we can create on our machines. We are very open to trying out new things. The advantage is that because we are not working on larger inventories, we do have the space to try and to fail, to get feedback instantly, to figure out what sort of designs are working, what's not working. Um, I get very particular about liking my piece, and then Praveen is more open to feedback, let's just say. But so the products, the range was always in our heads that, we design products that are very fashion forward, that are good looking, and, like impressive and ethical in equal measure, let's just say. It was never to be one or the other. But having said that, we just have a guideline to follow where we know that we are very transparent about the upcycle score of all our bags.
When we started the brand, we were very particular, as I said, being on the right side of the line all the time. So being absolutely honest about the fact that everything that we do, we want to be truly honest about it. And I'll also mention about a conversation I had with one of our customers recently. So coming to the upcycle school, so there are 2-3 things that we as a brand we stick to. One, we mention the amount or the number of raw materials that has been used to make a particular product. For example, if it's this bag or if it's that bag. Let's say,
Can we get the bag and you can tell where what components come from? Would
Yep.
that be a possibility?
We got a little bit of corduroy here, which is a discarded corduroy as a fabric material.
Okay.
This is discards of a garment factory that makes fabric for other factories. This is again a cotton twill kind of a fabric, again a discard from another garment factory. Belt. This is actually, it's called a webbing belt.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this was this? I don't exactly remember.
These were cut pieces.
These were cut
the
pieces.
smaller ones, but we do also source of fresh if needed.
This is a car seat belt.
Oh.
So this is from we tied up with a scrapyard, automobile scrapyard, scrapping company, registered, authorized government scrap company. So we get car seat belts from them.
Yeah, so I was looking over your website and I really liked the graphic that you all had. I think it was 175 seat belts.
From
Cars,
175
178
cars.
cars, yeah.
There was some 270 kilograms of fabric. I found that fascinating. I was like, this is such a cool feature to have, because from someone like me who has, I would say, zero idea about the textile industry, the fashion industry, that was something that stood out to me. I was like, oh, this is like, something that makes sense to my, or engineer brain, you can call it. And I just like, I loved just going through that, and I was like, this is such a cool thing.
So there are zips. Now in this particular bag, the buckle, this particular plastic buckle, has to be bought afresh. You don't get discards.
And this,
Same with this buckle, and I presume the puller as well. I don't exactly remember right now. Was this puller? I'll have to go back to the records to see that. So then let's assume one or two pieces out of the 10 different pieces that has been used to make this bag have been bought afresh. The upcycle score of this particular product is going to be 80.
So it's basically the percentage of
raw materials
Exactly.
that are repurposed versus
bought
upcycling,
afresh. And it is mentioned for every single product with the list of the raw materials. So if you go to our website, this particular bag, if it's there on the website, let's assume the code of this bag is ABC. If you click on this particular product, there is an upcycle score. Click that, it'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have been repurposed. 6 and 7, which is the buckle or something, has been bought afresh. So as a customer, when you walk in, you would know what is the upcycle score of this particular bag, and you know what you're buying. Okay, it's like clearly written for every single product that's there on the website. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two is the 2-3 things I said that we stick to is second is lifetime repairs. So as a customer and as a brand, we don't want you to discard a NoMore tomorrow that eventually ends up in the landfill. So the idea was offer lifetime repairs to our customers. So tomorrow, let's say one of you buys a product, and for whatever reasons, let's say 6 months down the line, a year down the line, there's a small tear and it got hooked onto a nail and it tore, for example, you can always send the bag back to us and we'll fix it on the house. So for repairing it, it could either be in the form of maybe changing that particular panel or putting some kind of a patch on it or whatever, however we are able to fix it, that's up to us and we'll do it free of cost for you. And the third is an assured buyback. Now, again, we don't want our piece to end up in the landfill. So what we tell our customers is that a year after you start using our product, we give you an assured buyback guarantee. So you can return the piece back to us and we'll give you 25% of the value of the product as store credit in return. So what happens is you can use that store credit for buying the next piece from NoMore. And what we will do with the piece that we've got from you, we'll either dissect it and use it for our other products, or we'll refurbish it and maybe sell it under a pre-loved category. So talking about the staying on the right side of the line is the fact that one, be honest, be absolutely honest about it. Be circular.
Yeah.
What is circular? Repair. Circular is buying back. So we are not a recycled brand. We are an upcycled brand. Okay, there's a big difference between recycle and upcycle. We are upcycle. We are making things out of waste. So answering your question, these are the 2-3 strong pillars on which the brand operates.
So that feeds very nicely into my next point. You say you want things to be circular, and you say obviously you have trial and error based on the material you're getting. When you have things that are circular, how do you deal with, because you're getting fresh waste, you're getting people who bought your bags who are sending them back as part of your buyback. How do you deal with this ever mounting inventory? A, and B, when you fail, like say you've got 10 products, 10 materials that you found through whatever waste that you've procured, and your design doesn't work, you don't love it, what do you do with that?
Okay. So the second part of the returns has not yet started, because we've given a condition there of a year. Use it for a year before you start returning it. So that should start coming in from maybe the next 3-4 months if customers intend to return it to us.
We launched only in May. So we're a baby brand. We're not 1 year old yet.
We're still not a year old. So that will start maybe a few months down the line. But second part is, of course, if we don't like a product, see, there are two ways to look at it. One is, there are some products that from a design perspective that we may not like a few months after it has been made. Okay. And it kind of becomes obvious also when it doesn't get sold. Okay. So we've got this new category on our website. It's called the goodbye sale. And what it means is, we're giving one last chance to you to buy that product at a discounted price. And if it doesn't go from there also under this category called goodbye sale, we're going to take it back, rip it open, and use the product's raw materials for other bags.
Basically clearance.
Clearance. It's actually more than, it's like, it's been there on the website, it's not got sold for whatever reason. Maybe some people have not liked the design and whatever, but we're giving you a discount on it. And if it gets sold now, well and good. If it doesn't, we will rip it open and we'll use the panels and the raw materials for making other bags. So that material never goes out of waste, goes to waste. Why I'll say that is because our workshop, we sit in our workshop, okay, and our design team will always be showing you half-done products before it is fully made. First it comes from the sketch, then you have small cuttings that are put together, then you have a mock-up made. The mock-up is then made into a fully bag, and then the bag is being made also. It's like you have the shell first made, shown to you. We may not like it, we might ask that the design team would not like it, they would say, okay, we'll change it. The fabric is always reused for us. Now, another part of this entire being on the right side of the line is also the fact that we also have waste coming out of our factory. Our small cuttings and pattern cuttings and all of that. What we do is we collect it. So we've got a small little landfill in our workshop. Okay, so from day one, almost 90% of our dry waste has not left our facility. So the maid has been clearly told that whatever you sweep, apart from the dust, everything has to be collected in one corner. What we do is, over a period of time, once that landfill becomes of a reasonable size, we create dog beds out of it for shelter dogs. So what we do is we've tied up with a couple of shelter homes for dogs and cats, and we make beds out of it, which we donate free of cost to these shelter homes. So the landfill cuttings are all used as stuffing for dog beds, and the raw material that could otherwise go waste is always reused for something else. Like that particular bag, for example, just to give you an example, that particular bag, inside is a dress that used to be my sister's. Now, I don't know about this. I don't remember. I think it's a
Textile.
It's a plain single color. But if you look at that bag, that's actually a dress that my sister used to wear. And now, if that had gone,
hygienically washed,
which we wash, all clothes are washed.
We've not just taken Priya's dress and just stitched it.
No, but so if there was a waste from that, it will always be used. See, there are myriad ways of using it. It's just that it is cumbersome, it is time consuming, and somebody has to apply their brains. See, as a regular bulk manufacturer, you would not get into that hassle because you're wasting time, and with that is a lot of money that would have otherwise you would have been able to make. We've not reached that stage as yet, and currently for us, being true to what we are making is of paramount importance for us over trying to greenwash consumers.
So my finance brain is going full beep, beep, beep,
Yes.
right? And I'll tell you why. So a lifetime guarantee is fun. At scale, a lifetime guarantee becomes the biggest challenge that your business faces. Even for a business like Kirkland. Kirkland is a Costco brand.
Yeah.
And they have these utensils. And they are steel utensils. They have a lifetime guarantee, right? And you can use them for 10 years, bash them up, make them look garbage, and then go and return them. So they ran this for a good 5-6 years, and then they wrapped it up because they couldn't move on with it, right? For you guys are early. So in my opinion, right now, it's simpler to provide this. Do you think you'll be able to provide it for the ongoing time? Because this is also going to become a major challenge that give it to us, we'll repair it. Indian labor costs are going to climb. And upcycling costs are also going to climb because labor becomes more expensive. Right? How has it made economical sense for you right now? Because to do what you're doing, you would need huge margins in the first place. So I would love to know the financial aspects of your business.
We don't give a lifetime guarantee. We give a lifetime repair assurance. So there is a difference. We don't replace the product. Okay, if it tears, we don't say that you give it to us, we'll give you another bag. No, we will fix that for you. Compared to maybe Kirkland might be replacing it with a new product. Yeah, we're not doing that. We're fixing it for you. So if it's a small tear or your zip is not functioning anymore or whatever, we'll fix it for you, which is very minimal cost. Time is there, yes. And for the courier cost, of course, the consumer will have to send it to us first. They send it to our workshop, and then we did get a complaint on one of our pullers. The small thing that is attached to that strip, that thing, one broke, is what our customer said. And this customer was using it for almost 6 months. Now we've said that just send the back to us, we'll immediately fix it and give you. So one, there is no replacement that we're giving, we're only fixing it and giving it to you. I mean, you're coming from that part of the world, something like what Patagonia does, right? They repair. Now that's one. Margins are there because one, there is so much of effort and time that goes into it. So we do have decent margins because we don't make in bulk. It's not like we make this style 100 pieces, 5,000 pieces. No, one piece, two pieces, and no two pieces can be of the same kind as well, because you technically cannot.
One is from your sister, one is from his sister.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
And that's just the inside.
I mean, inside, outside, it could be
Yeah.
anything. But from a financial perspective, very early stage, burning a lot of money right now, by staying true to the core thought of the brand. But we're hoping we reach a stage where there's enough volume sales that happens. See, the target audience for this particular proposition, so to say, is very niche. Okay, very niche.
Growing.
It's growing.
Very fast. Our generation is very thoughtful about. Actually, we went to Bharat Tex. Okay, so Bharat Tex.
I was there. Yeah.
Oh, you were there. That's awesome. So in Bharat Tex, in the textile manufacturing area, everybody is recycle, because it feels like it's the next buzzword in the textile universe.
Everyone seems to want that stamp on their
Harp
stall.
onto that.
More than even harp on it, like even if it's there as a footnote or a thing,
Yeah.
there is, every single stall had that, oh, we are certified. Oh, we are certified.
And number of people we spoke to, and we actually asked them, that, are you really? And they're like, we do have the stamp. Right? So
This is an apparel manufacturing company.
it's not an apparel manufacturing.
Fabric manufacturing.
Yeah, it would be like a wholesome.
So what happens there is, so there are certifications that are available, and it's pretty expensive, these certifications. Okay, you have something like, let's say, a GOT certified, which is organic certification, and then you have RCS, recycle standard certification, a lot of certifications. Getting that is a tough thing. Okay, and you have to fulfill X, Y, Z parameters to get it and maintain it also.
Are there Indian jugaad ways of getting it?
I didn't want to comment on that. So I think the reason that Akhil is mentioning this is because we saw maybe 100 stalls, and out of the 100, maybe 75 had this badge,
if not more.
I'm saying let's take 75 just as a ballpark. I'm giving just ballpark numbers here. Out of those 75, we probably spoke to 5, because those 5 were the ones that actually seemed genuine to us. Because there was a lot of people who just put the badge out there, as I said, that, but it didn't feel like, you walked around their store and you saw the products on it, and it felt like, okay, maybe this person's using a 5% recycled fabric, or like a very, the recycled was an afterthought ki aur kuch nahi to koi isko dekh ke aa jayega, rather than recycling being the main thing. And then, okay, what can now that we have this, what can we make out of this? So we went to one of these guys then who had 65%, 70%, 85%, 100%. So, and you could tell from the way this, like, again, both of us no knowledge of textile. We're just roaming around an exhibition.
The funny part was that roaming around there, within 10 minutes, you develop a gut feeling that genuine, not genuine, genuine, not genuine. Somehow the human brain just develops that. Okay. The other gut feeling I have is upcycled stuff, यार used है, यार किसी और का है, यार शायद साफ ना हो. This is a feeling that I think is more common than just me. It's a big educational challenge. How do you plan on climbing that huge wall?
यार educational challenge तो छोड़ो. The moment you want to charge a certain price for it, because as you said, you all are doing work that has a lot of time that goes into it. It might not be like your raw materials might not cost as much, but you're putting in so much extra time because things are not standardized. There's no, this is my mold, I'm going to put this in this and I'm going to get this out. The moment you charge a premium to a certain thing, then these concerns amplify. Then people even more so are like, I can get a new product for this price, or maybe slightly lesser than this price, or slightly more, whatever. Like there is that variance that each person has in their brain when they're thinking of buying a product. Because at the end of the day, these are products that you're buying, which are, I would say, luxuries to a certain extent, because you don't really need them to survive. You're buying them as a choice. So that, like, you're thinking, okay, should I spend this amount of money on it? Or is it worth my? And then all the concerns that Akhil just mentioned come up even more.
There was in India, maybe up until maybe 10 years back, which never believed in second-hand cars. Okay.
Still Bombay. Very, very Delhi, Bombay thing.
Yeah, but look at the way various companies are existing today with respect to, and the mindset of so many people in my own circle today has changed from wanting to purchase a new car to buying a used car. Okay, because one, they get access to great cars at a lesser price, which is maybe done 5-6 years. Now, I was talking about this also earlier, wherein it's a very niche audience, and I'll relate this to a conversation also. We have this tendency, we have this kind of a little thing between Priyanka and I, wherein we want to talk to our customers. It's possible to talk now because order volumes are within limits. So the other day I was talking to this lady, and she was telling me, randomly we call up the customer and we start talking to them. Address, when we introduce ourselves, and then we start talking to them. And she was telling me, see, I've always been on the lookout for something that is truly environment friendly. Okay. Now, second, she said that the moment I talk about or I search environment friendly, as Priyanka mentioned, it is mostly cotton, khadi, linen, those kinds, Seldom do I come across brands like you. And when I chanced upon this, I came onto your website, and I truly loved everything that you guys do. Okay. So I went and bought it. And of course, the piece was good looking, so I bought it. Now, that percentage of audience, while there are no stats to tell you how many of them exist in the country today, there is that percentage. Very conscious customers who, and there is a want in the world today, but there is no need. Yet.
Yeah.
People fancy answering your question about recycle, or sustainable, whatever. It's fashionable to talk about it. It's fashionable to be flaunting it.
It's the
Fashionable.
buzzword now, so everybody wants to be sustainable or mindful.
But there will be a time when like you're talking about pre-loved, what are those brands called, Poshmark, and which are there already, marketplaces where you can sell clothes between people and second-hand clothes. It's all picking up. It's there now. There are thrifting stores that are coming up in the country and the world today. A lot of I was reading an article the other day which talked about majority of UK millennials, around 60 odd percentage of the millennials prefer second pre-loved clothes over regular clothes and stuff.
I'll challenge that thought. So when it comes to cars have a life cycle of a good 10 years for somebody who's going to run the car into the ground, maybe even higher than that, right? When it comes to clothes, there is a fundamental difference in the two. Clothes are very, very intimate things. Clothes are worn directly on your body, right? And they collect all of these germs, and they collect all of the dust, and they collect all of the sweat, and it doesn't feel very hygienic to wear somebody else's clothes or to carry somebody else's clothes. On the other hand, a car is interacting with you, you're sitting on it, but then you're getting out half the time it's sitting out there, right? So I don't find the appropriation between the car and the clothes. It might be just me, might be my opinion. The recycled thing that we saw at BharatTex, especially in the manufacturing place, is geared towards the export community.
Correct.
Because America and Canada and New Zealand, Australia, UK, the new world is at the point where they can care a lot more about this stuff than India can. India still has 90% population earning less than 12 lakh rupees a year.
As I said, that when it comes to that choice, that what am I buying with this money? You're thinking that why not buy a new bag, or why not buy something that not far off the beaten path, which today in India, I think Akesh shares this thought with me, but that a lot of people still think that way.
True.
Yeah, but so I'd like to answer that. See, the problem is lack of awareness, of course. It's just a my instinct thing. Maybe 2 years back, I would have thought the same way. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that one truckload of garment waste is going into the landfill every second. One more truckload now, one more truckload now. So I know that today it's a want, it will turn into a need. It needs to be addressed and as an issue, and the future generations will need to be told that there is no taboo attached to it. I mean, my mobile phone is considered to be the dirtier than my toilet seat, but I still stick it to my face, right? So I know stats, but it's the mindset shift. So when clothes are hygienically treated, washed, seat belts are all cleaned. I mean, as I said, we are not putting in clothes. I'm not just directly stitching this shirt onto a fabric. I am ensuring breaking it down, getting it cleaned, reusing it with as much, curation and care when it's stitched onto a fabric and then turned into an upcycled product. It will never be substandard quality. Like denims, I mean, you'd want to change your denims every 2 years, but that doesn't mean that that's the life cycle of a denim fabric as such. My Levi's denim can work for 20 years, but my body will not support me wearing it for the same time.
No,
So
we
I
agree with you
yeah.
completely there. It is definitely a need which is
Yeah.
currently being masked as a want,
Yes.
and we are not questioning the fact that it needs to be a need.
Yeah.
That's not the question at all. The question is awareness.
Yeah. Awareness
How
is a
do we?
challenge.
How are you guys spreading that awareness that today, say, your current customers have, that the majority doesn't have? Because you yourself said that the people you're targeting is a niche.
Yeah.
How are you making that niche bigger?
Also, before you answer that, you'll need to sustain till the point that niche is bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
When a niche is very small, let's talk about LV bags, right? LV bags are for the top 0.03% of India, if that.
Correct.
The smaller the niche, the bigger the margin. Current affiliation is I have thrift stores. Thrift stores are not for people looking for sustainable clothing. They are for people who cannot afford newer clothing.
Correct.
But positioning yourself like that might completely be counter thought. How will you position yourself to demand the premiums from that kind of a niche is the major question in the short run. In the long run, you might have scale and it might be different.
See, one way how we're addressing that is, of course, the fact that every piece is unique. So we don't make more than one piece of each. So what you own, only you will have in this world. Okay, that's one way. And we mentioned that. So there's no more than one.
They're collector pieces of shoes.
It's no more than one. We mentioned that also.
Exclusivity with the product.
So no two individuals are the same. So why should their choices be? So that's one way. Second is, again, when you speak to the customers, you realize and you know for a fact that they don't mind spending this amount of money as long as the story behind this particular brand, whatever we talk about, is true. Correct? as I said, reaching that audience is our primary problem point right now. And how are we getting there? That's your question. Now we're trying to associate and collaborate with like-minded agencies and associations, coffee shops and stuff. For example, we're there in this cafe called Greener Cafe. Have you heard of Greener Cafe? So Greener Cafe is it's a very community-driven, conscious cafe. So we have tied up with them. Now, if you walk into their Gurgaon cafe, they have one here in Defense Colony or GK only, right?
GK1.
GK1, they have a pretty big cafe here. They're there in
Vasant
Vasant Vihar and in Gurgaon. Now, we're doing, currently it's on and it's going to be on for a few more months, wherein we've kept a cart there, a shopping cart inside the cafe. And we've got messaging which asks people to come and drop their clothes. Okay. And just yesterday, we got a message on our Instagram from a lady. I think I said that we were checking that, wherein she says that I saw you guys at Greener Cafe, such a great thing you guys are doing. So what we're doing there is we are asking people to drop their clothes and in a month come back and see products made out of those clothes available to be bought. Now that is a community that is very close to this particular thought process. Now that is a community that will relate to what we're doing. Okay. Now how do we get to multiple such communities is a work in progress.
Yeah.
We are hopefully going to get there. Pop-ups. We were at a pop-up last year in Bombay called the Soho House. So we were at Soho House and the community was bang on. The kind of
It
people who
was a
walked in.
sustainable pop-up. So the thing is that your clientele already knows what they're buying into. So there, at least awareness is not an issue. Either they want to genuinely buy the product or to be seen with a sustainable product. But they just know what you're doing. Teaching them about upcycled products is not a challenge. It's very minimal, but it's there. And there are so many more. Every day we get to know about more and more such events that are happening. I mean, there are times when we are getting to know about it late. The Fashion Week will always have a sustainability day. And some of them are doing such great work. I mean, there's so much to learn, and a lot of it through upcycling, because how much more virgin fabric will you make? So there is so much that can be done. Smaller communities, but it's endless to be able to tap onto what already exists. Forget growing, which it will be. It is ever so growing. Gen Z is much more mindful. They are trying to educate themselves a lot more. I mean, maybe millennials are still a lot more set in their ways currently to shake that off or try to think differently. But there is just so much information available now, and you just have to act on the stats. It's just that. So it's just about getting to the sort of community that you want to tap into, and then to grow from there. I mean, our customers have such nice things to say, which we actually do not expect when we call. My mindset is the product okay? Are you happy with it? I'm like very functional questions, but their answers are very different to what they're like, the thought, because then you realize that they buy into the thought of behind the brand more than the product. They don't know me. They don't We are not a big brand right now, so they must have seen it somewhere and just wanted to try, and then be pleasantly surprised that, oh, the bag is actually in fact very good. So that's the best feeling that you have as a person trying to create good products and being received in that way. But baby steps. But yeah, it's an everyday challenge, but it's I don't think it's something that is not something that we can tap into. So
See, how much time did it take for EV cars to kind of become in the consideration list, right?
15
A
years?
good 15, 20
15 years?
Actually,
15?
the first EV came out in like 80s. Toyota got it out, and then it was crushed by the whole Ford and Exxon collab.
Yeah, and then Tesla happened, and
And
then
they
Tesla
needed like a
Roadster,
crazy.
Tesla Roadster was 2007, 2008.
Doesn't count. It's not a mass
I mean,
production.
That was the first
EV.
EV that you
Yeah.
hear about in
today.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you look at Tesla Roadster, which was the first, I would say, EV that at least I hadn't heard about this Toyota one. So that's for 15 years.
No,
almost.
Yeah.
and there was a Reva in India and all of that, which is battery
Yeah.
cars.
There's a very interesting documentary called Who Killed the Electric Car? And
Okay.
it came out in the early 2000s. So that was about the Toyota car.
Okay.
Okay.
Super interesting to watch. Now it's irrelevant because everyone wants to make an electric car, so nobody
Yeah.
built it.
And Toyota's out of it also.
It's
Toyota
like-
was watching
Yeah.
another documentary which talks about Toyota moving out of that, wanting to get
Yeah.
into hydrogen and
Yeah.
hybrid cars.
Yeah.
But today, I don't know if I'm stating the right fact, but 1 out of every 7 cars sold is an EV.
This is globally or in India?
India.
India, that's huge if it's India.
Or it must be
Yeah,
global.
I
We'll
think
have to double check that.
Tata and this Blue Smart is making a huge dent in this.
Bro, Blue Smart is available in 2 cities in India.
But everything is EV, no?
Yeah,
We
but
took a
that's-
Blue Smart today.
Yeah, that's exactly. But that's 2
It's
cities
right
though.
there.
It's waiting for us there actually.
Yeah.
We took a rental. But what I'm trying to say is today it is there in the consideration list. It must be global 1 in 7 because I remember seeing this fact somewhere. But the fact is it's in the consideration list. Like today, I was a 2-car household till last year. When I realized that my wife works from home and we don't need 2 cars, disposed. Now, Priyanka has got 2 cars, but both of them work out of home, as in work in their offices. So they have to drive. They need a 2-car. But tomorrow, if I have to buy a car, my consideration would be an EV or a hybrid.
Let's take that angle. Okay, so why did the EV boom happen? Do you think it is because people are more sustainability focused, sustainability facing, especially in India? Or is it because it has just become so much cheaper to run an EV? Right now, the petrol prices govern that it costs you around 13 to 14 rupees per kilometer traveled, right? And an EV, it is like 1 rupee per kilometer traveled based on the charging that you can get, right? I feel it makes more economical sense as well to get an EV if you have a lot of driving going on.
True.
When it comes to upcycling, it is going to get more and more expensive. Everything you will do, I feel it would be more difficult to automate stuff in the upcycling landscape. Like you create these bags, each bag is different. Each different bag would need some sort of a different manufacturing setup or like a manufacturing process. Am I wrong?
A little bit, yes.
So let's go with that. If somebody wants to set up your shop tomorrow, because I feel you would like more of these shops to pop up, not just for bags, maybe for clothes, maybe for slippers, maybe for whatever. How do they start and what are the major challenges?
See, major challenge would be, of course, one, sourcing raw materials. Second is, it is possible to be done in scale. Okay, of course, you need investments for it. And exactly what we're doing today, if it is multiplied into 100, if somebody has that kind of money to put in, you can do this very easily and
How
the
much?
price comes down.
How much money?
I've not done that math.
How much money did it take for you to set up the manufacturing?
We've put in almost half a crore right now. So over the past 2.5 years. Now the thing is, of course, it's very less compared to any other company that is. When you say the burn rate is right now less, but having said that, the moment you have a lot invested and you have multiple machineries and multiple people working, this can be done in a kind of a mass form. Okay, wherein it's very unique pieces. It can be done. The efficiency will increase. See, right now we're running it like a very boutique brand.
Yeah.
Okay, we're exactly running it like a boutique brand where we're completely involved. But if we really want to scale it up with investments, of course it can be scaled up. But the fact is, see, one, you come from an IB background now, and I always have this thought process in my head, which is, what is scale? Okay, one is because you're so fed with this information of uska valuation ye hai, iska valuation ye hai, that is valued at $1 billion, is valued at $100 million and all that. But there are also, you come back from Canada. Where were you before this?
In the US.
Before that?
In Panipat.
Panipat. Which is your favorite restaurant in Panipat?
Gold Hotel.
Gold Hotel. Do they have branches?
No.
No. And when was the last time you went there?
2 years when I was in India last.
When you were in India last. And what is their favorite
Butter
best-
chicken.
Butter chicken, right?
She
I know
knows.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, how long have they been there?
Years. 30 years.
That answers your question. Gold Hotel, 30 years, 25 years, whatever, is only there in Panipat, has been selling to a limited scale.
That can be, again, I like Gold Hotel because I was born during the time when franchisees were not a thing.
But it's still, but today,
Today,
franchises are there.
my nephew's favorite place to go is a McDonald's.
Possible.
And my other nephew's favorite place to go would be like Burger King or Dairy Queen because he likes their Blizzard. And now those are just at scale, tuck, everywhere.
But our thing is that we would not mind being a hotel gold in the world of a McDonald's.
I was coming to that. So
Sorry.
the fact is,
Sorry.
there are many such
Yeah.
restaurants, bakeries, your neighborhood hotel, which has been doing well for years, and slowly but steadily they still. So, how much money is enough? I'm coming to that. Okay, you can become a billionaire, and you'll still be spending only X amount of money.
So how much money is enough? How much money would you need to scale? And
No, I'm talking about personally. When you want to become a
Acha,
rich
okay.
person, I'm
Wealth,
talking about
more
that.
wealth
I'm
than
talking about the
finance.
wealth thing.
Okay.
How much is enough? I mean, you can of course have great numbers on your bank statement, but what are you going to do with all of that? So eventually, if you're happy with a limited to scale kind of a situation, that your house is running and you're maybe living a bit above comfort, good enough.
don't you feel the mindset will switch as soon as you're sustainable? For example, sustainable as in personal wealth. So let's say I give you 5 CR right now, today, and let's say you invest that in an FD. Now you have 35 lakhs coming into your house every year. Subtract 9 lakhs for taxes. Now you have 26 lakhs left over. It's good enough for a decent lifestyle in India. So now you have 26 lakh rupees, which are coming in. No need to worry about the money anymore. Now comes the mission. Now my mission is I'm going to make upcycling the thing, right? EVs boom because you need a crazy idiot like Elon Musk who is just, I built a company, I sold it, I'll put all of my money in. I'll move on my friend's couch. Oh, I built another company, I'll sell it, take all of the money, put it in this, and I'll sleep on my friend's couch. Right? You need that madness. Or like you need a job. Again, like crazy madman. Are you willing to be that crazy madman? Do you become that crazy madman after you have sustainability in wealth for your family, for your kids, for whoever? And how much money would you need to be that crazy madman, to do that at scale and to make that huge splash in the world and become the upcycle king and queen?
I don't know about how much money would I need, but will I be that madman? Possibilities are yes.
See, also, I think, when we took this leap of faith, we were at pretty comfortable stages in our lives. So, but it's still, we've suddenly realized how quickly the well dries up. And it's a challenge no matter, it might seem superficial because we do sit on a lot of privilege still. I still have my own car, I have my own house, I have a husband who's earning decently, but it still hits me to ask for even an X amount today because you're so used to, I've been working for 15 years, I'm used to my own money. And now as founders, we know that every time you're spending, I'm thinking about that one person's salary that I have to pay. It's true. For somebody, I've been in Delhi for about 15 years now. So, the worst thing is that you grow yourself into a lifestyle. And then you have to consciously tell yourself to calm down, woman. Not everything needs your credit card to just swipe. So it's a conscious decision that you take as any founder. I feel that, there are times where you have to say no to yourself to one particular holiday. I'm talking about luxurious things still, is because that's what I have started cutting out on. But and just regular outings, or just telling friends ki ghar aa jao yaar, because I don't want to go to a Gurgaon restaurant to splurge like 10,000 in a night, which you end up doing. So again, identifying privilege, but still saying that you need to know that you're getting into it, and it's going to take a lot of time for you to start building again. It's not that मैंने आज 10 लाख रुपए डाले और कल 20 लाख रुपए कमा लेंगे. It does not work like that. Everybody needs to know we did come into it with maybe a plan in our head for 2025, and now you realize that you're so much closer to 2025 than you thought you were in 2022 when we were planning this 2021. And time is flying, and then you're realigning numbers and goals, and it's just an endless pivot, restructuring, mind shift change. We are at such a nascent stage that we can't tell ourselves that yahi to decide kiya tha, aise hi hoga. So, and then we are two people who are also very different. So there's so much back and forth that happens. Praveen comes from a very different mindset, very different responsibilities. So it's very different for the both of us also to talk about finances as an equal, because it is very different for every individual that we are a part of. But
It's all relative. Yeah. I think finances comes very, very relative to each person. So what someone might call as privilege, if you've known that all your life, how do you identify that as
yeah, I
privilege?
mean,
Or
it's just that something you school yourselves to identify, because you know that
you've not
Yeah.
known anything else.
Yeah.
As like, I mean, the concept that we've mentioned this numerous times. It's called ignorance, the
How
debt
will
for
you-
not
yeah.
knowing.
Not knowing it.
Yeah.
And flaunt it also eventually. But answering your question, see, I mean, another part to that is, if you're having X amount of money tomorrow, let's assume today you don't have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're living a particular lifestyle. Tomorrow you may have it. You're saying that will the lifestyle change? Correct?
I'm saying that are you willing to not change the lifestyle in order to give your mission
build.
everything?
100%. 100%.
He's saying if the money is not a question, if you're
100%.
sustainable, then that extra money that you're earning,
100%.
Because the challenge you have taken up is so important for the world, and
100,
it's so important for all of the society to realize that you need someone who is doing this crazy shit,
Absolutely.
Like Elon Musk, with all the money he has, he lives outside his factory in a dabba. And he's very happy in that dabba. He's like, oh, that's my home. It's all good.
100%. I'll tell you why also. See, it was much easier for us, if at all we wanted to start something, start a similar thing that we've been doing. Okay. Took up this challenge, and because there was a genuine need, and that we feel there is a genuine need in the world today. Now, how successful are we going to be? Only time is going to tell. But the fact is, we strongly believe in the whole thing of let's put in the effort today, because today's efforts, we never know when it's going to materialize into results. Let's keep putting in the effort. And that's what we're trying to do right now. We've seen changes, and every few days has been a learning, a revelation for us. Certain things we thought was bang on, boom, 3 days later, down, start again. So, but now we're seeing some traction. Now, is it helping us sustain? No ways. We're burning. Currently, we are burning. And like any other, not unlike, like any other upcycled, recycled brand, you can ask anybody. Nobody is profitable. Okay, but we're all trying to do something, and that's why I keep mentioning about it. Also, we should all come together, and do something together, because there is a need. It's just that you are currently beaten down by these big brands.
This is actually the most booming kind of business setup right now that has taken off, which a lot of small shops, which are on the similar lines, serving the same purpose, have started working together and started sharing their clientele with each other. Because all of them are in the same niche, everyone starts making money, and there is no one centralized head. It's kind of like Bitcoin, it's all decentralized, but everyone is sharing the same ledger, and the customers are very happy because they get to serve the same mission.
Getting back to what you guys were talking about earlier, you said one of the biggest challenges in this is sourcing waste. On one hand, we're saying landfills are going to require landfills, and then on the other hand, I know this is a fact because there are a few friends I have who are also getting into the business of scrapping and things like that. They want to do recycling and stuff. And they say the biggest problem is sourcing. Why is sourcing such a big problem? How are you guys dealing with this problem? And what are you doing about it?
Especially when people are just wanting to throw away their stuff. And it is increasing. India is moving towards the west of just saying, throw it after a year. And everything is like e-commerce is booming. You can buy stuff online, and I can so like in 5 minutes it'll be here, something or the other.
See, when it comes to sourcing, if you go into a factory today, now there are two to three kinds of waste, 2 to 3 kinds of discarded fabrics, correct? There's one which is super bad quality, okay? There's one which is decent quality. There's one which is extremely great quality but of no use right now. Now, you have to be that kind of a recycling unit where the not so great quality fabrics can be shredded, granules, fiber, yarn, thread, weave becomes new fabric. Second is, of course, people like us who will take the decent quality or the great quality fabrics. Now, why is sourcing difficult is because if you walk into any factory today, they wouldn't encourage you to be selecting. Okay, they would rather just get rid of their waste. They have that real estate lying in that particular warehouse, पूरा ले लो,
Dead inventory.
हाँ पूरा ले लो आप,
To empty that.
so आप ट्रक लेके आ जाओ, पूरा ही ले लो. We don't have the means or the scale for currently to take it, but ideally I should be a recycling unit and a manufacturing unit to be able to take that, because I can take the not so great, sort it, send it to the shredding unit, send the rest to the manufacturing unit. So this is like I mean, so sourcing, you need to approach factories and stuff and similar units which has got a similar mindset, where the owner itself is also very pro this thought. That's
I would
why.
think it should be the other way around. If you want to source your material, go to owners who don't care about recycling and upcycling. They'll sell you waste cheaper.
No.
It's dead inventory. They'll be like, "Haan, le jao yaar," like, I don't care about this.
No, but with them, what happens is kitna ton chahiye. If I tell them that, मेरे
So
को
that's the size, right?
They have the Sara le jao problem, na?
Yeah.
It's here the problem is not कि मिल नहीं रहा.
They don't even
Container
know
हम
where
भर
it's
नहीं
going
सकते.
today. If you ask them, they care two hoots about where it's going right now.
They're like मेरे फैक्ट्री से निकल रहा है, मेरा सामान खाली हो रहा है.
My job is done the moment they give me X amount of rupees for whatever they have taken out. It's gone out of my factory, now it's your responsibility. Okay, because they've got that space now. Okay, which they may not have seen for years. Now, so sourcing, that becomes a problem. Now when it comes to, for example, this automobile scrap company that we've tied up with, now there are multiple components that come out of a car, right, when it is scrapped. There'll hardly be one or two in that we can use.
Yeah.
We as a bag manufacturing company can use
Seats and belts.
seat covers and seat belts, and maybe
Some
floor
carpet.
carpets and the roof and stuff. But when we've gone to 2-3 automobile scrap companies, now when you go there, you're like, freak, man, there's so many. There's metal, there's molds. Now there's nothing that I can use. I cannot use a metal body or a cage. I can't use molds, rubber molds. I can't use those electronic parts or the engine parts and whatever. But there we have to go there and search for seat belts.
उनके लिए तो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट मेटल है.
उनके लिए सबसे ज्यादा बिकता मेटल है,
बिकता
सबसे ज्यादा
metal
प्राइस
है.
मेटल के लिए मिलेगा.
So they're like आपको seat belts चाहिए. Then they know that now I'll have to assign somebody to sort the seat belts. Have them collected over a time. उनको बोरे में बंद के that okay, after 2 weeks you can collect them. So because this is so new for them, it's like any other institution, that why would I take the hassle? This is not my job. So till you personally are invested or at least understand that what we are trying to do, there are certain people who are wowed by it. I show them the bag and they're like, अरे ये seat belt से ये हो रहा है, अच्छा, I'll take the effort, I'll get one guy on the job who will sort this for you, आप 4 दिन में collect करा लो. Then it's 4 more follow-ups. Right now we can do that because we know that every morning we have to call XYZ people figure out when can we have it collected, can we come see it. And seatbelts is still very generic because it's all black gray, we can collect all of it.
Beige.
But that doesn't happen in fabrics because we'll still have to do some amount of visual checking, where we know that okay, this, as you said, we can't source everything because then we'll end up becoming the same demon that we are fighting. We'll just keep them in our inventory and figure out that ek din we'll be able to use it. So at least when we buy with the intent of being able to use all of it or most of it at least. We realize that we are ourselves not a zero waste production unit, but can we minimize it to the extent where we are not just unnecessarily filling it into the dog beds. It's a genuine thing that we believe in, and we know that only our scraps and material that cannot be used otherwise, and our dry waste will go into it, and not like everybody says, कि नहीं है तो चलो उसमें डाल देते हैं. That's not why we do it. We do it, one, because we love pets or animals, and that's just a source that we have identified that we wanted to do. But it's never been that nahi hoga to chalo, we'll just brush it under the rug and keep it and we'll just call ourselves zero waste. It was always a very conscious thing. So we are very mindful when we source stuff. We never want to just अच्छा हाँ दे दो, भेज दो, कि if it's cheaper, let's just buy it. That's never been the thing. I mean, we are human, we do get greedy, but we have to tell ourselves, and we take our designers for the sourcing so that we know that, okay, I might like something, but I know that there's not much that can be done in terms of actually creating a good looking product or a functional product. There are a lot of garments that are good as fabrics but cannot be utilized in making a strong, sturdy bag. So, we have to tell ourselves right now we are not equipped with doing a lot of lace or any other sort of fabric. So, no matter how gorgeous it looks to me as a woman, I know that this is not my skill set currently. And I'm not going to buy into that just because it's reasonable and I'm there and I might as well. So, it's every day is like taking a step back, telling yourself to calm down, to be mindful. When you're telling your consumers to be mindful in their purchases, you have to be in yours. So, but then that again brings us to the same problem that nobody is there to entertain me shopping in their warehouses, right? So, there are a few units that we've identified who are patient enough. They know that we'll spend 4 hours in their warehouse one day in a month, do that. And so abhi they also see us like a boutique brand. If I go there, they would like to imagine that मैं अपना एक छोटा सा boutique चलाती हूँ और मैं ये लेके जा रही हूँ. Over these many months now, they realize that okay, this is my website, this is the brand that I'm doing. They'll call me and say that मेरे पास एक olive green cotton अच्छा quality का आया है, reject. Only yesterday that happened.
So in fact, we met someone the other day who's into the thing of battery recycling, so lithium batteries and all. She's like, in India, the biggest thing that we're doing wrong is we're sending our waste elsewhere to be recycled, because this waste is going to be so important for her. Obviously, she was referring to lithium and cobalt and things like that go into batteries, which are obviously limited. But I feel like a similar logic to a much smaller factor applies here. That we're sending shoes and things like that are creating rubber. And I mean, we have so many rubber plantations and rubber factories and stuff. So there are ways, I'm sure, that we can obviously have these things happen in India. I was hoping that happens. But coming back to the pivots that you were speaking about, I think every company goes through their fair share of pivots. There is that line in so many movies that what's the best thing about a well planned out thing? It's never going to work. No plan ever works. You plan it out, you be like, I'm sure this is going to work, but the most obvious thing goes wrong. Like this has happened to us on I don't know how many occasions, most recently being something that we put out a couple of days back where we were like, we're not sure, we don't think this piece of content is going to work, and it has raced. So we don't know anything. So how do you deal with pivots? What are some of the thought processes there? What have some of the most significant pivots for you guys been?
Quite a few. Every other day is a kind of a setback. Okay.
That's why I said the most significant one.
Yeah. So then you tend to get up in the morning and think, are you doing the right thing? Because you've sacrificed so much, both of us. and our respective families have also sacrificed so much. There are certain things that you feel should not have happened, has happened, and then you're like, okay, now take the blow and get moving. So this happens every other day now, but then you're sticking core to your thought, and financially it is draining, which is what we're trying to now fix, hopefully in the near future, because by we're trying to do certain things. Pivot, uh, I would say that it's very small things that we feel and we feel excited about when we do today. कि चलो ये करके देखते हैं, maybe it's going to turn our fortunes. That happiness sometimes lasts for 3 days, sometimes
An hour.
an hour, you know, but
And hopefully sometimes longer than 3 days.
sometimes longer than 3 days.
There's this fellow called Alex Hormozy,
Okay.
and we love the fellow. And he's a businessman. He runs a firm. What's his firm called?
Acquisition.
Acquisition.com. So they are a private equity firm now, and they have around $200 million of revenue per year. He talks about entrepreneurship. He says entrepreneurship sucks. It's about getting punched in the gut every day for a very small glimmer of hope, which goes away in the next hour, and then getting punched in the gut again. Digesting all of that to realize that what I want at the end is worth so much more than all of this.
True.
Like,
I mean, it's like, I use this example quite often. You want to, let's say you want to develop a surfer's body, for example. You're not going to develop it overnight. You're going to be putting in X amount of work every day for the next 3 years to kind of develop that. But see, just an example, but otherwise, pivoting is something that we try to do every other week, 2 weeks. We look at ये करके देखते हैं. And the best part is, the excitement of that building towards that particular launch is actually more of the pivot than the pivot
Yeah,
itself.
I mean, it just keeps us going day to day. I
So-
mean, while we are always evaluating, will it work, won't it work? I mean, I've told you anxiety peaks, but it also just, you thrive on that, right? I mean, there have been collections that we've been so excited on, and they've been so good on paper, and they've been raved about on LinkedIn. And I'm like, back to kharido, but there's there's particular materials that people are not still buying into. So, eventually they'll still want to buy good looking denim bags, or, other fabrics that look a certain way. Which I understand is the problem then, because in our head, when we are creating that and we are like, this is what we want to do because it's different, it's unique, it's a different silhouette, but then people still want a certain style or want to fit into a certain mold. So there's always a balance that you have to maintain, and at the end of it, customer is king. So we just want to please them by just being on our side of the line and knowing that Isiko will not cross, we'll not go on that side. We want to, be very transparent about what we do, very honest about the kind of products we are building. But then sometimes it completely deflates you when, in your head, you're creating a kick-ass product and you're like, one day you'll buy it, just not yet. So it's an ongoing internal, external battle that you are fighting. So
See, pivot for a company that's less than a year old. I mean, I would have loved it if we had one, but we currently don't.
yeah, it's just,
And maybe
it's more
later, if you ask
adjustments,
this question, I
tweaks.
hope I'll be able to answer this.
I'm basing it off the fact that we had 3 in our first year.
Fantastic.
So
So I don't know. Maybe it was a pivot, but we don't know.
It's
might have just
maybe
gone with the-
for us, it's been tweaks, minor adjustments, mindset shifts, than to call it like a complete pivot we've not had to do as yet.
Adding a bucket hat was, for example, a pivoting decision for us of extending products from just bags to maybe
Some wearable
some
accessory.
wearable.
Yeah.
But too early.
brands, according to this book called The Brand Gap, which is a very, very popular book. The person who wrote that book, I can't recall the name, but that person is the one who developed Apple as a brand, Disney as a brand. So he said brands are not things that make things. Brands are not the specifications of your thing. Brands are none of these things. Brand is a feeling that you get as soon as you hear the name of a brand. I say LV, you feel rich. I say Gucci, you feel rich. I say Apple, you feel solid, secure. I say Google, sometimes you feel malware, sometimes you feel search. I say NoMore, what am I supposed to feel?
Mindful, responsible, true to your word, walking the talk. I mean, I can go on.
For me, would be a friend of the planet.
Earth champion.
Yeah, it's like they're friends of the planet.
I will be a friend of the planet by buying their stuff, and I will be an Earth champion by buying their stuff.
We address our consumers as earth champions. So, see, honesty, honesty is something like she mentioned about mindfulness, responsive, and all of that. But I did mention earlier about the zip problem. Now, how would any brand tackle that? You tell me. Give me an example. We got a customer complaint saying that my puller broke.
Just be like, get it replaced from. I mean, I think most brands would be. I don't even think most customers would call the brand. They would just send it to their closest, whoever guy on the road who's sitting and fixing these things and get it done.
And as a brand, what would you have done?
It would depend on the age. How long ago did you buy the stuff? A lot of brands would have like a 90-day policy. If something breaks off, you just give it to me. I'll probably fix it on the back end and sell it as a clearance item or sell it as a used item or refurbished item. And then the front end, I'll give you a new bag.
Okay.
And then I know with luggage and all that, they replace it for you.
So what we did, this particular customer got in touch with us saying that this broke. And a few days back, another friend of mine also who had bought a bag during that particular phase also said that, listen, there's something happened. What we realized was this could have been an issue with a particular lot of pullers because 2 people have complained. We sent an email to a batch of people who bought our products in those 3-4 months saying that, listen, we've got this complaint. This could be a batch, small percentage of that particular batch that could have gone faulty. If at any point of time you encounter an issue, we are here to fix it for you. Now, this is going out. We've not got that complaints, but anticipating. This is like as good as automobile companies calling back their cars.
That's the example that popped into my head.
Recalling cars for a faulty clutch or a brake or whatever issue. I hope it's not a faulty brake, but we were like, we need to be out there. Let's tell them this could happen because we don't want them to experience it in case there was a fault. And that aftertaste is pretty
and
bad.
Now if they do, maybe they know that they can get back to us and it will be fixed. I mean, it's just a reassurance. It's a service guarantee that our whole idea, is for customers to, like you talk about Samsonite service. We want people to say that, I have bought this product and their after sales service has also been impeccable. As to, today buying even the luxuriest of brands and then not knowing what to do if the leather chips or anything breaks, and you just assume that ab to ho gaya,
My brain still shouts ticket size. To achieve this, you're going to need like lots of ticket size, big ticket size for all of your bags. And hopefully you guys are able to achieve the huge ticket sizes, and hopefully people are able to connect your brand with the Earth champion. So as we have a tradition on the podcast, and the last guest has left both of you questions, and we would love for each of you to leave a question for the next guest, not knowing who they are.
Okay.
The first question I have for you is, how do you manage your team, especially in the early stages, in the pre-revenue stages?
Never made them feel like as if they are just an employee or all of that. Never.
Be kinder. Don't treat people like vendors. Just, be transparent.
How do you manage your mental health?
Mental health. How do you manage? I don't know if I'm managing my mental health.
I can see that coming.
There we go.
Guys, we would love for you to write each of your questions here and sign below your question.
My question was actually the second question. I had to think of another question.
We want to know. So